Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Latina Life. We are so excited today. We're going to talk to you about our journeys, how we got into producing, and hopefully we'll have some good takeaways for anyone who is interested in maybe following this path. We're also going to talk about the latest news in the industry, entertainment news, and what we have coming up for some future, episodes of Latina Life. So we're going to get to it. Milena, how's it going? How are you?
It's going. How are you?
Going.
It's good. Excited that we're going to be able to tell our story because I think one of the number one questions that I get a lot is how did you get into the industry? How did you become a TV producer? And it doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's important for us to discuss because for those that don't know, you're a TV producer for a night entertainment show that airs in the evening nationally, and I work for daytime TV, which airs every day across, the state of California. So I feel like we do two different types of television shows, but our journeys or the tips that we can give, I feel could be helpful for anybody trying to break in or go on that or switch or decide to do, what we do. So I think it's important to explain. So why don't you start us off, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, I'm not going to go all the way back, but I do have to say I was interested in journalism for as long as I can remember in school. So when I looked at colleges, that's what I was looking at, which schools could offer that. So, I was lucky enough to get into USC. And through that, I have to stress, like, one of the biggest tips that looking back on it now, I didn't realize how important this stepping stone was, but it was getting an internship. Even you start off unpaid and you get that internship, you're volunteering your services and your time, but that was so important because you got to meet people. You got to show them, how skilled you are, but also the enthusiasm that you have, you have to show that you've got ganas, that you want to be there and then you want to achieve that. And that's like the first step in the ladder to anybody's journey, I think. So internships are very important. So I got a first paid internship actually at KCBS. I started off in local news. So I worked the assignment desk, I also ran script to the stage for talent, and that paid internship then led to my first paying job because as the internship ended, I had a lot of supporters there. They wanted to see me stay on. So this is so crazy. This is another thing too. It's like, if you're operating a position that maybe you're nervous about taking because you don't think you're going to be able to do it, believe in yourself and still do it, because the position I was offered to stay on at KCBS was graphics coordinator. I basically had to be the liaison between the newsroom and this team of graphic designers for all the different graphics and pop-up, things on the newscasts, and how to jump in too. And I had to add something in the middle of the news as well. And in fact, that's where I met Caroline Bull, her friend, who you've produced with and everything. And I think she's over at CBS now or something, right? So, I mean, she's amazing. She's such an amazing producer. But can I tell you, when I first met her, she scared me to death. She was so, you've got to be serious, especially I think as a woman, you've got to be serious. And it was just like no frills, no fun. It was, very strict. But she was definitely one of my supporters, because I still remember to this day, like one moment where she's like, all right, go on, do your thing in the middle. I'm like, okay, and I'm here like finishing up college, this 20-something-year-old, person in the middle. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to think I'm a fraud. I'm going to get fired. Why do they give me this job? But I ended up, doing it well. I ended up getting along, with the guys. I mean, they were all guys. I mean, can you imagine what they're thinking too? Like these grown-up men with this 20-year-old coming in saying, okay, I'm your person. You gotta give me your ideas too and run things by. I'm sure they were not happy, but we ended up, listen, I learned a lot from them, as well. And I appreciated that opportunity. And sometimes this goes back to, to what Claudia Martinez, who we interviewed for, said in regards to, maybe your first job's not your dream job, but make it what you need to make it in order to get to where you want to go. Right.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to go to the news desk. And so I worked it, and a position opened up on the news desk, and I was able to emerge over there. So throughout, like, I have to say, was able to freelance before I got my current job over at Extra, which is the national entertainment news show. But I was able to freelance, at different local news stations as well. Here in LA, it was KTLA, because before, when I was balancing out my paid internship with KCBS, I was also working at KTLA on their news desk too. So like Claudia says, do what you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. So I knew I wanted to get that full-time job, in news. And so once KCBS offered that to me, then I was able to let go of the other, because I worked at KTLA, looked at, I think KCAL, I worked at KTTV, like every single one, which was great because you gain so much experiences working at different places, right? At KCBS, I ended up meeting a lot of different people, and my former EP went to Extra, and he was the one that called me, to go over to Extra. And this is what I said. He's like, "Well, you come in, are you interested, having an interview?" And you know what I said? I said, "No."
Oh, wow.
I said, "No." And he's like, "What do you mean no? This is a national show." Well, they were about to kick it off, right? And I was like, "No, it's entertainment. I'm a news girl. I'm a news junkie." Right. And so I said, no, we said goodbye, hang up. He called me back again. And he's like, "Listen, just come in and just meet everybody and just see what it's about." So I'm like, okay, I'll go. Thank God I went. I mean, this is like another lesson. It might not be what you want, but don't immediately say no. Sometimes you have to say yes to opportunities, right? I mean, it's a national show. I was working in a local show. I did the interview. Long story short, I, said yes. And then I have been there for 20 something years. And it has been really great because I was able to, move up from working the assignment desk to segment producer to now senior producer. And so, I mean, everyone's probably hearing all these like different terms, assignment desk and, PA and segment producer and senior producer. What's the difference between all of this? I mean, it's, working on the assignment desk at a news station was definitely, I would say, hardcore, because if you were just the jack of all trades, they're the heart of the newsroom. You're reaching out, you're making calls not only to, people to set up interviews, but also to, certain entities, organizations, authorities to confirm certain things. You're looking for the stories that you're going to put in the news. You're looking for the stories that matter to the community. I think one of the things that did eventually, get me out of news, made me say yes to Extra, is the fact that I felt there was more of a trend about reporting more on the negative stories than the positive stories. I want to hear more about the positive stories. That was the thing. And so after a while, I just did get a little burnt out myself personally in regards to, the shootings and the crashes and the deaths and the car chases. I know that's what people tune in for. I do, but I know the community wants to hear more positive things about what's happening in the community and the people that are making a difference, and, how they can, maybe they need help, how they can get help, on certain things. I know that. So it's definitely something that I think the newscast even today, tried to balance. It's hard, but going to Extra, working the assignment desk was sort of similar because it was entertainment news, right? Because we're still dealing with news. Now, as we know, everything kind of, is intertwined: pop culture, entertainment, news, business, brand, politics. It's all
part of pop culture.
Layered, right? So my job currently right now as a senior producer is making sure, like, we have the interviews with, I just specifically for events with the big celebrities, the big talent, the big newsmakers tied to events, be it Super Bowl or Grammys or SAG Awards. But it could also be a book party. It could also be a fundraiser. It could also be, a charity event or involvement with a charity organization. I do love to always, spread the word about the Genesee Center, which is a long-standing organization here in Los Angeles for domestic violence survivors. And I have to say, the first time I got involved, I'm involved with them professionally and personally as well. But the first time I even heard about them was because Halle Berry was their celebrity ambassador. So, I cultivated a good relationship and a good friendship with the team over there. So we were able to do some really great interviews, not only with Halle, but with also, people that have been helped by the organizations, people that are supporting the organizations, the founders. So that's like the little bit, like, that's what I love doing too. It's exciting to do all the Super Bowl stuff, but it's also really exciting and fulfilling to, shine a light on organizations and people that are really helping and making an impact, on that. So, I mean, so that's pretty much, I think, in a nutshell. Like, I know we can go back and forth and talk more about the specifics, but that's pretty much, what I do. I work with the talent, just like you, do at your shows, and the different producers and our EPs, and make sure, like, everybody knows, like, what's happening, what's going on. If we have an interview with, like, Usher coming up the pipeline for his Vegas residency, or, what's Jennifer Lopez doing for her new JLo Beauty, or maybe, some other production, going on. Yeah.
But I would say for you, like, one of the takeaways for people to know is another thing that has kept you going too, because I feel like this is something we both do, is we continuously make it a point to meet people and meet new people, because that's where you never know where the opportunities for interviews lie in that sense, and growth in regards to maybe growing in a different direction.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I feel like for me, I did the internship as well, and I did it with a talent agent. So it was more of like dealing with, like being a talent agent. And quickly I knew that really wasn't for me. And I remember just taking an extra course, and I had already graduated, but I remember I was like, I just want to take an extra course, and I don't know what I did. I can't remember what the course was, but I'm always talking to people, and there was this one woman there, and she was very shy. She really didn't talk to anybody. And I just would talk to her because she was like the smartest one in the room, and she always knew the answers. And I was just like, can you help me with this? And we became friends. And she made an announcement, and she was just like, hey, everybody, I work at Entertainment Tonight, and they're looking for PAs. And, if you guys want to, have this opportunity, I'll go ahead and forward you guys' resumes. And I was the only one that did it.
Wow.
I got the job.
Wow.
And so as a PA, so I just think like people need to find, not ever dismiss anybody. I think you never know who's going to be working where, especially if you're in school, or especially if you know somebody that knows somebody. I think you need to take that opportunity, because you never know where that opportunity is going to lie, and you never know where that opportunity is going to take you, and you never know who this person can know. And I think that that's like the biggest takeaway for me, because she was so liked because she was such a smart worker, yet everyone in the class like didn't want to really like give her the time of day, which sort of shows just sort of how things are like realistically. And I just was like, oh my God, I'm totally going to take her up on this. And it completely changed the course of my life, because once I got there as a PA, where I did everything, I stayed there for 10 years, and I got to learn so much. And I really got the opportunity to pick which direction I wanted to take my career in,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be
Mm-hmm.
at the news desk or whether it be in PR or whether it be working with talent or going out in the field. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that that's very important because you never know who is going to be where and who's going to know who. And I've seen that happen over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And being at ET for all that time really gave me the the path to grow and to learn and be a producer, a segment producer. And then from there, I sort of was able to jump ship and go into talk shows, right? And I did the
Mm-hmm.
talk show thing. And then from people that I had known from ET, I was able to go, to Home and Family and do that show. So it was just one thing after the next, like these doors just sort of start opening. But
Mm-hmm.
I think what I want people to know is just like you should never dismiss anybody. You should always, you know, meet people, not be afraid, new friends in a new setting, whether it be in school or in the workplace. Um, I think just, getting to know people can help and can be so valuable and sometimes in the direction of where your career is headed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because then
Mhm,
after that, like we met, right,
mhm.
over at
Yeah,
NBC, and mutual friend in common, Caroline, was there.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
that was fantastic. But had we not taken those, never, I don't know if our paths would ever cross, which is kind of
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly. And that's why it's just about like, and I mean, I was approaching you like, hey, like
Oh yeah.
what's going on? And
Mhm.
I just think that that's so important because it's just, you just never know. And now you're one of my dear friends and we're doing a podcast together. So I just think that a lot of people always ask like, how and how does it happen? And what do you do? And those are really like the things I think that, um, can really change the course of once you're in there. And you never know who we might meet, where we might go to another place, because we've been very fortunate to be able to go from different shows and get different jobs,
Mhm. Mhm.
so I hope that that helps. But I just think it's important for people to really know that it's these little things that can be so impactful.
And I think the other thing too, is I want to give you props on a lot of things. So we met, at NBC, but that tip about being kind and being open and talking to people, you were the first person to approach me.
Hmm.
Right. I mean, obviously we knew are the EP, but outside of like, hi, this is Jen and she's going to
Yeah.
help us, like the offline conversation, you're the first person to approach me. Very kind, very open, as a very relaxed demeanor. And sometimes it's hard to do that, especially when you're working and when you're to have that. Sometimes there can be competitiveness, like,
Yes.
people do get nervous, people do get territorial. And
Hmm.
I'm always been about the team, like it's about the show and it's about the team.
Hmm.
And so when you approached me and we started talking, and then we realized how many mutual friends we had in
Hmm.
common, it was just such a natural fit and vibe to like be
Hmm.
with you. And that's how you are with everybody. Like you have, what is so great about Milena, I gotta just talk her up here, is the fact that you have conversations with people, be it like it's the camera person, be it it's the EP, be it it's the talent, where you can not play, but you present both sides of the conversations. You
Hmm.
present different perspectives and different opinions. And it's just not yes and go along with it. It's not no, and I'm going to be upset and seething because you didn't take my idea, right?
Right.
And I'm going to come at you next time when you pitch something and say, no, that sucks. No, it's just, let's think about this. And let's think about maybe how we can make it different. Let's think about if this is going to be like the best way. And I think that is also what makes, not only builds up your reputation as a person, but what also makes such strong, valuable connections. So you're authentic,
Hmm.
that's who you
Yes.
are. So
Thank
that's
you.
definitely a takeaway, is be authentic.
Hmm.
Sometimes it can be hard.
Hmm.
And I always, you impress me sometimes with just the fact that you are fearless in some of the questions that you ask, where some people might be nervous and they don't want to say anything,
Hmm.
but you ask it in such a way, I feel that, and you maybe should give a class on that. No one feels threatened by the questions. I mean, I don't, and I never did. And I felt like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good question to ask. It is great to have someone and be that person to start that conversation, start up a conversation, continue the conversation,
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like you're the same way. I do think that you have to be authentic. You absolutely do. I think it's delivery is very important when you're in a position where you're trying to make two sides happy, because in our world, we deal with that. We deal with talent who actually has to say something. And then we deal with the bigger producers who want a story to be delivered in a certain way. So it's like, how can we merge the two? And I think that, having good communication skills is something that can be learned. And but I think that it you have to just make people feel comfortable and not be forceful or, because what is that saying that they say you get more honey?
Oh, you attract more, what was it, bees with honey than with
yeah, or you know what I mean, opposed to just being rough. And a lot of people in this industry, it can be tough.
That's what
It can be very tough.
I'm like, be honey, not vinegar.
Yeah,
honey.
Be honey. And so you gotta just know. And I think that that's something because about you and I, because we have been able to maneuver certain situations and find solutions for both parties to work well. So I feel the same way about you. So, it's you just got to be yourself. Absolutely, you have to be yourself. That's number one. You shouldn't be anybody else. And you should really love what you do. And I think why we love it is because we continue to meet so many different people. And hopefully on Latina Life, we are doing that, So, and that should take us into our next transition of what's happening with just the industry right now.
Right. So I know we had the Emmy nominations. Oh my gosh, that was just last week. And there was some really great nominees there. I did see that there was a lot more Asian representation, which is fantastic. I do know I was slightly disappointed though in regards to our Latina and Latino representation for the nominees. We do have Oscar Isaac, which is great. There he got nominated for his main role and from his project, but the one glaring omission I saw was Selena. I don't know what you thought about that.
Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez not being nominated for Only Murders in the Building, which I absolutely love that show. But yet Steve Martin and Martin Short received nominations in their category, which I found surprising. I mean, what did you think about that?
I mean, I think it goes further into who's really voting, who are the voters, what does that look like? I think that, and honestly, there's so many shows out there. Are they really watching the show? Or are people just voting for what they're hearing? Like, it's so much bigger than that. And these award shows, they're sort of disappearing and people are sort of not caring in the sense where, like look at the Golden Globes, it's there, but now it's online. Like all of these awards are sort of changing because is it really fair? Like, that's a thing. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I think we need to get somebody to come on and maybe talk about how this even works.
Absolutely. I have to say, so I am part of the TV Academy, just being authentic and being open and out there. And of course, I voted as well. I mean, I'll tell you that obviously, yes, I voted for Selena because huge fan and number one support. I still remember the day, the first time we set up an interview with her when she was on the set of Wizards of Waverly Place, Disney show. And she was just amazing and wonderful and authentic. And at first everyone's like, who's this girl? Who's this Selena? I mean, because it's like, young girl and everything. And I'm like, she's going to be big. She's going to be big. And look, she was just so talented. It does bring up some questions. Is it, and I've talked to some other people who also are participating, with the voting process. Is it something where are the Academy voters diverse enough? Is that one thing? Is it that there was just too much of strong contenders this time around? That's possible. Or does it open up, the fact that, Martin Short and Steve Martin, received the nominations, but, she didn't. Is it subconscious or unconscious, sexism or ageism? Will anyone see past the fact that she was on Wizards of Waverly Place and she is really talented? Will anyone see past the fact of anything that maybe has happened in her personal life and see the skills and the talent that she brings? Like, it happened with Zendaya. Zendaya was able to do it. She's doing amazing, and not to say Selena isn't. Selena is. Of course, as her fan, I want to make sure she gets, the accolades that I feel that she deserves. And I think the Latina community and Latino community feels that she deserves too, especially because she was one of the few Latina names out there in contention. I mean, that's my thought. Those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I think it is unfortunate that there's just like one, maybe two.
Yeah.
It's very odd to see three. And hopefully that'll change. Again, I think it's going to have to be with supporting the community and continuing to have these conversations on a bigger platform, because it can't just be the usual suspects, which usually it is. And we definitely need to see more. So I think that that's also important, but we'll see. We'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be showcasing a lot more people that people tend not to see, on TV. They're out there, putting in the work and being part of the process and hoping, to make an impact themselves. So, well, what's been pretty impactful too is the fact that we've already kicked off Major League Baseball All Star week and weekend. We were actually, Latina Life was actually at this wonderful event a few days ago, WISE LA, Women in Sports and Events. A bunch of Latinas were there. It was just a really amazing, inspiring, affirming, wonderful kumbaya event for all Latinas in sports and events. And it was hosted at Dodger Stadium, which, Milena, it's just like a slice of heaven right here on earth. So we love that. And some of the top names there, or someone like the big names who were able to share their stories, it was the VP of External Affairs at the Dodgers, Naomi Rodriguez, also Alana Rizzo, who's a Major League Baseball reporter. I mean, it was moderated by Lolita Lopez, who I believe over at NBC, and she was amazing. Everyone sharing their experiences of, being in sports, especially not only as a female, but as a Latina, and, what they did to get to where they're at. A lot of the takeaways, being authentic, saying yes to the opportunities that come your way, not doubting yourself. I mean, I think we really walked away with some amazing stories and just validation too, being there, being part of like the community. So I know we're happy to say that we will be having those ladies on the show, on the podcast coming up. And I think it's going to be definitely interesting. I mean, don't you feel like, seeing a Latina in sports, the journey that they have made has been pretty inspirational?
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be fun to listen to their story. And they always have great takeaways. So I think that it will be good for the next Latina Life podcast. So people have to listen, like on Instagram, Latina Life with Jen and Milena. So make sure to like it. Make sure to give us a like on this podcast, and, follow us on Apple, iHeart, Instagram. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this was some takeaway. You guys know what's coming up. And we definitely have more fun people lined up, but we'll be that on the next one. So thanks, guys.
Absolutely. 100%. And besos a todas las Latinas out there. We love you. Look forward to, hearing any comments or questions you have on our Instagram page, Latina Life Podcast. Please be sure to go there and, share, what you think and what you want to hear, and who you want to see. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Besos.
Bye, you guys.